So now I would like to invite up my brother, Ken Cosentino. He's a water protector. He founded the Tuscarora Water Drive here in the city of Niagara Falls. And he wanted to share a few words as well. Okay? You have 5 minutes though, right?
Yeah.
You sure?
Got it, yeah.
Okay.
Don't worry about me. Hi everybody. It's an honor to be invited to speak here today for our first annual Indigenous Peoples Weekend. I'd like to recognize all Ongwe and thank those of you here today. I'd also like to thank my brother Saladin Kunai Allah and the Atlanta School for Gifted Youngsters for hosting the events. And I'd also like to thank our mayor, wherever you went, Mayor. Thank you for supporting everything and you know, taking Niagara Falls in the right direction. As Saladin just said, we were supposed to be welcoming our esteemed guests, but they're going to be here about 8 o'clock, so they will be here. They are Lakota, and recently Saladin and I visited Prisoner of War Camp 334, also known as the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation in South Dakota. I slept in a teepee with Chase Iron Eyes and atop a buffalo hide on Chief's living room floor. Saladin crashed on the couch. We invite all of you to come out to the Niagara Falls Public Library tomorrow at 4 p.m. for their presentation, The Ghost Nation. And I was also just asked to mention the Ganonyok that Vance presented, and what that means is that it's a bringing together of everybody, kindness, compassion, love, and all those things. We're all coming together for the right reasons. Water everywhere, but not a drop to drink. There's an estimated 700,000 gallons of water, fresh water, going over the Horseshoe Falls every second. And just a few miles from here on the Tuscarora Reservation, residents haven't had fresh drinking water since 1958. That's the year that the New York Power Project, run by Robert Moses, flooded roughly 1/3 of the reservation for the reservoir. This was done against the Tuscarora's wishes and their best efforts to stop it. The Tuscarora Reservation is older than the United States of America, and they had clean water until 1958, when New York State dammed up Fish Creek and Gill Creek. It's 2021 now, and we've been hauling fresh water to the Tuscarora Reservation on a monthly basis since 2017. The Tuscarora Water Drive was actually co-founded by myself, Randy Green, and with the help of Charlene and Quincy Washington. It's been running now for 4 years. The New York Power Authority continuously denies any involvement in the water crisis. Just a stone's throw from all of this fresh water, and this has gone on now for 63 years. So you see, the Indigenous movement is the human rights movement, and they're on the front lines. This isn't news. We saw it with the Kinzua Dam, and in 2016 we saw it at Standing Rock. We see it up north in Six Nations, where Nestle has sucked the aquifers dry for pennies on the dollar, despite being told not to by Six Nations. These are all treaty violations by corporations who are beholden to none. These are acts of cultural genocide. Right now, I would just like to pause for a moment of silence for the children who did not come home from residential schools. Thank you. I don't have a lot of time. That moment was not long enough. Hundreds of thousands of bodies in unmarked graves, and today there are residential school survivors in their 50s. It wasn't that long ago. It's not ancient history. So let's stop calling them schools and start calling them concentration camps, because that's exactly what they were. So why is it that the priests and the nuns who killed those children are allowed to be walking free today? The Catholic Church needs to take full responsibility, and the murderers need to be brought to justice. The United States government needs to step in, and so does the Canadian government. And while we're talking about church and state, both need to immediately dissolve the doctrine of discovery, which is a racist decree that must be denounced by the Pope and the President. If you think I'm kidding about that, thank you. If you think I'm kidding about that, in 2005, Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg summoned this archaic doctrine in her ruling against the Oneida Nation. It's time to stab the heart of European colonization by calling out the Catholic Church for their part in mass genocide, residential schools, and centuries of trauma inflicted upon millions of innocent lives. This weekend, we will be discussing many hard topics. We'll be discussing treaty violations and sovereignty rights. People will learn how 6 million acres of New York State land is actually unceded territory. including the islands of the Niagara River, where we're standing today. So today, when we raise the wampum belt up on that flagpole, it must remain up there forever and never be taken down. As long as the American flag is flying, so should the symbol of the Haudenosaunee. Lastly, I'd once more like to address, just in case he sees this, President Joe Biden. Mr. President, it's time to free Leonard Peltier. Give this political prisoner a full pardon so that he and his people can heal. Thank you.